Now recording.
Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the, last day of January 31st, 2024 community call. Wow.
Yeah, January flew by.
A bullish
Not really,
January,
no.
I guess. Yeah.
Was it
I mean, it wasn't bearish, I don't think.
crabbish?
Yeah, maybe.
Crabbish. In any case,
A bullish January for Aladdin.
every month is a bullish month for Aladdin because we don't see color and we don't see price. All we see is just great DeFi building and community, right? That's
Exactly.
no?
Yes.
Is this thing on?
Oh, I can't hear you over the money changing machine going in.
Oh, right. Yeah. And Paul's not paying attention because he's busy counting his peas.
That's right. You got to keep track of those things. You'll lose them under the couch and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's jump right into it, shall we, with some FX updates.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So,
what's up first?
Yeah. All right. We've got the booster round is completed and the rewards are vesting.
Woo!
So,
is there
oh
yeah, I forgot about the soundboard. So so very cool. We got the whole we got through the whole process. Holy cow, were there a lot of like nooks and crannies for governance. That's crazy. Talking internally on the team, we came up with some ideas to try to pare it down a little bit at least. Because particularly for ALD tokens, because their voting power represents because Aladdin holds multiple different all these different Aladdin tokens, we can vote in a couple of different ways, right? So the Aladdin can vote using its VEFXN on the FXN booster program, but Aladdin can also vote with its Clev because the Clev controls CVX, which also controls, right? So there ends up being I'm sorry, can you hear my dog?
Yes, he's wildly in support of your
he is so excited.
Your concept so far, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. He's very good at derailing me. Anyway, point is we're hoping to simplify at least a little bit, and we're always open to your ideas here. We're hoping to simplify a little bit the voting process next time by just maybe taking for the ALD votes, maybe just reflecting. You vote one time, and then we can reflect that same breakdown of booster votes through which however many. I think we're only going to be able to combine two that way, but if we can eliminate one extra snapshot that needs vote, that's a good thing.
Yeah, anything that simplifies the process and makes it a little bit more straightforward is obviously a good thing. So
I've been trying to make noise in our Discord that Aladdin needs to build an Aladdin governance aggregator. So you just go and vote in one place, and then it just magically whatever governance power you hold through every kind of different token or VE power that you have, it just trickles through perfectly automatically. That's not going to happen because we got bigger fish to fry right now, but maybe one day.
Well, one day, yeah. There might be conversations happening, sir. So you never know. You never know.
All I can say is, boy, it's hard work. We talked last week about how governance is a drag. It's also hard work, and so thanks to everybody who took the time to go and vote, and a special shout out to those people who dug in on KMET's great spreadsheet that has some the links to the people's to each booster's kind of they were able to share a couple links to their best work. That was incredibly helpful. Really, really good, because when you sit down to vote, you don't want to spend all afternoon doing it, and if you're trying to get a good sense of what kind of stuff people create, and maybe you didn't catch it all, maybe you weren't on Twitter when they dropped a great thread. So being able to have the best stuff there all concentrated together also helps give you a sense of the most. It helps the boosters who've been active highlight the fact that they've been active, right? So. Yeah, great innovation, KMETs. I applaud you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, we're always looking to improve things, or the way that information is presented or whatever. So
yeah, we're gonna get to that in a bit. spend a little bit more time on that. But anyway, yeah, big check mark there. Thanks to everybody who voted. Booster rewards are out. They are vesting. You can see them on the website. Go to the FFX website and check out the booster tab, and you will see your total number of tokens and your claimable tokens, as well as your not yet vested. And remember, because of our hot new vesting system, you can actually choose to lock your unvested FXN tokens into CVX FXN or SDFXN. So if you want to, you can convert those FXNs to CVX FXNs, and by doing that, you will start earning your yield immediately. They will still vest over the same period of time, and they will be claimable. The tokens themselves will be, the CVX FXN tokens will be claimable on the same vesting schedule that the FXN were, but now you'll be earning yield on the entire amount from the moment that you make that conversion. So just an option for everyone to consider. And in fact, you can have both.
Yeah. And actually one thing that when I went and looked at the booster rewards, and I was like, oh, because it shows, your previous round in one box, and then above it shows, this current round, and it's like, well, if I convert, are they both claimable, from just clicking one button, in terms of your yield if you convert? And it turns out it is, which is really convenient. So
yes.
That's really really nice. So
yeah, and I've said this before, our vesting tokens our vesting contracts are amazing. They are super low gas to use. So even when you have a bizarro gas spike in the middle of the day, it's not gonna break the bank.
That's right.
To claim those contracts those tokens out of the contract. Yes. So congratulations to boosters, congratulations to everyone. Thanks for voting, and let's move on.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we got next here? Oh, so FXUSD, it is in audit right now, and they're going through the audit process, and being very thorough about it.
That kind of, our auditors are some. They're generally very fast, but the number one concern that we have is, as I've said a bajillion times before, we do not push code to mainnet that has not been audited, and so the process is arguably the most important step, right? This whole thing, it's all for nothing if there's a security issue anywhere within the contract. And so that's where we're at, and we won't rush it, but with any luck, we'll be hearing something back soon. We're going to be in a bit of a holding pattern as we continue to sort of keep in touch with the auditors and get a sense of where they are. But we're not just in queue, we are in audit, as far as I understand. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to get something back from that, some good news back from that as soon as possible.
Yep. Yeah, that's always, it's wild to me, like the progress you can make in DeFi. It's so cool. So from idea to something that's you can go out into the world and do what you dreamt it to do. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I'm actually very happy that this whole, obviously this is part of why we're here, but like this culture of making the audit step, audits aren't perfect, right? An audit does not guarantee that there's no problem, but this audit step, having these like formal extra pairs of eyeballs, it goes such a long way to making this process sustainable. Because we've seen in the past, like before this world of audits existed, and with like, especially with early smart contracts, it's really tough to use DeFi seriously if there's a significant chance that there's like a major security problem with a smart contract, and if the only way for it to become proven is to like watch and see if that happens for a year, it kind of sucks a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah, it's best to dot your I's and cross your T's and have somebody else double check that too.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So
they're expensive. They consume time. They are worth it. We love our auditors, and we'll let you guys know as the FXUSD audit progresses.
Yep. Let's see here.
still a pin. This one is still a pin in the FXN carve out for FETH. We talked about this last week. And I give you a brief recap is the team is proposing that we are going to do a temporary carve out of FXN admins that are going to supply the FETH rebalance pool during the FXUSD sort of bootstrapping phase. We're not putting any specific limits or constraints on the timing, and we're still working out the amounts. We actually have to talk to some stakeholders behind the scenes that we did not get around to. Weren't able to connect up with them last week, so we're still working on that. And as soon as we have the numbers and the details nailed down, and make sure that there's not any sort of major issues with our proposal, we will get that up onto the forum and out into Snapshot. But we heard some pretty good feedback from you guys last week that seemed like people were generally in favor of this idea to kind of make sure that FETH is protected during the bootstrapping of FXUSD, and then we eventually transition into a place where it's a little bit more on the like market-driven organic side. But for now, think of it as a subsidy to FETH to maintain that stability. So that's coming. Nothing much to report there, but it is still in process.
Yeah. So we'll keep you guys in the loop on that one for sure. And then next we have a new UI. So our designers have been hard at work putting together some tweaks to the UI based on kind of the feedback we got from the community. And I think we're kind of at the point now where we can roll it out to the test net and get some feedback from everybody. And
yeah, well, that was this was this morning's we're a little bit of talking behind the scenes. It sounds like we're going to be able to push that new UI out on testnet again, because we're still like the particular, as pieces are falling into place over the next couple of weeks, it would be a lot better, I think, to get you guys a chance to see the UI and give some feedback on it, and we can make changes too before it's actually, rather than waiting until it's ready to deploy with like contract changes or FXUSD or whatever. Let's have you guys kick the tires and give us some feedback as early as possible. So we're going to see about deploying that to testnet, and we'll tweet about that once it's out. But keep an eye out for it, and please do check it out. It's not. I'm. A lot of times, you're doing this like testnet deployment. Remember, initially we did testnet deployment as part of like earning points towards some kind of an airdrop. That is not what we're talking about here. This is really just a place to kick the tires on the UI. So please do that once we send the tweet out, and we'll announce in Discord and everything too.
Yep. All right. And then we've got a new FXUSD article coming out here very shortly that Kruger and I have been working on to basically kind of outline sort of the mechanics of how the system will operate, and hopefully provide clarity.
Yeah, we're lifting our skirt a little bit here, and it's right. The idea here, as always, is to just communicate the way that it works as clearly as possible so that there's no surprises. I mean, I've kind of said this thing before that like Aladdin products win the more people understand about them. Like there's nothing hidden underneath the covers that is like a ticking time bomb or some kind of a trick waiting to be pulled on anybody. But the mechanisms can be, they can be complex. And so, it's our challenge to communicate those, to share those in a way that makes it completely unambiguous how it all works. So been trying to put this one together. We mentioned it, actually. We called it out in the first article that we're going to have a follow-up one that's got more detail about how everything goes together, and a few diagrams that I hope will make it clear for everybody what how it all works. So we're going to be punting. We delayed publishing that a little bit just to kind of get a few more of the behind the scenes jobs done, because obviously we don't want to put too much like hyper specific detail out into the world before we're ready to make sure that we're the first ones to launch our own product. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think every time I have a conversation about FX. Well, really any Aladdin product. I need, it always helps to sort of simplify and break things down and make it very clear,
You
right?
need a
So
diagram.
you need a diagram. You need
a
good
diagram.
something to build off of, right?
Talk about a difference between that approach and the typical like TradFi world of derivatives, right? Nobody's out there foot soldier trying to educate people on how the most complex derivatives work. That's not the point of them. They're meant to be opaque.
Yeah,
Not
I mean
us.
they're almost inventing their own language to obfuscate everything.
Don't get me started. Don't get
I
me
know.
started. That's a pet
Yeah.
peeve.
No, that's not how we do things here. So so you can expect that here in the next few days. We'll have it out for you, and
Yeah,
hopefully,
exactly.
Hopefully that helps you explain it better to other folks as well as you go out and talk to folks. So
Yeah, absolutely. And as always, check out as always, if you see it and you have any comments or feedback or anything that it's not clear or that you think should be changed or anything, always let us know.
Yep. Okay. I mean, that's basically FX for this
That's
week.
FFX, yeah. It's pretty good. We're trucking away toward this big the big FX USD thing, and I don't know, it's pretty exciting. It's coming.
Yeah,
We're ducking.
It's really...
That's what Linero and I used to say. We're ducking.
All right. So Clever. So we can move on to Clever. So
yes,
the proposal to increase the Clever yield fee has passed. So there you go.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. So that's really good news. I'm happy about that. I think that's an important step. And honestly, like these kinds of changes, whether it turns out to be a silver bullet or not, and it may very well be, but this is how we iterate. This is how we get towards something that works best. So now it's going to be a question of getting that fee change in place, and then letting the market kind of grok it, I guess. I don't know, letting the market kind of respond to that and see what we get. So we're going to be carefully watching the rate of CVX locking, the rate of swapping, the total deposits in the LP versus the furnace, all that kind of stuff. We're going to be looking at it closely as that fee changes to see. It's nice now that because Clever has been running in that steady state for such a long time, we should be able to get a good picture of what that change implies. And if it does what we hope it will, then it might be a pretty important spark for Clever.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of like an internal combustion engine. It's kind of like, well, what if we change the settings on the fuel injection just a little bit, and then you're just like, oh wow, look at that, 20 extra horsepower, awesome. So
that's right. Plus, everywhere I drive, it now smells like unburnt gasoline.
I had a 1975 Honda CB550 that I could never. It was carbureted, and I could never get the jets working right. And every time I come to a stoplight, I would have to manually reach down and open up the carburetor to keep it running so the idle didn't die. And then, oh man,
how could you reach the carburetor? Sorry. Oh wait, you're talking about a bike?
A motorcycle, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. A CBR, yeah, of course. I'm sorry. For some reason, I was imagining that you were in a car. I'm like, well, how did you? But did you cut a hole in the firewall and like reach?
Very flexible. No, it was a motorcycle. You just reach down and do it. But it was just kind of like, hopefully, with DeFi, you don't have to do that sort of stuff. It's all
well, you know what? But you and I may need to have a talk after this, because I've got a generator that is just the carburetor jets need at least a clean. So I may need to get you to talk me through that, because it ain't working right.
I have a lot of hot sports opinions on small engine repair.
Is that right? Small engine repair is something I have studiously avoided completely in my various hobbies. So we will need to connect on that later. We also need to stop wasting Pete time with our wild off topic.
Anyway,
tangents. Okay, so proposal went through for Clever. We're going to watch and see how that goes. The booster round is complete. And so all of the usual, like, congratulations to boosters and yay and clapping, but also we have a mea culpa here, and a big thanks to DeFi Advisor and others in the community who are keeping us honest and who brought all of this up. So essentially, well, why don't you lay out how down came?
Yeah. So as with Clever, we had CIP 03, and so that went through essentially as a way to kind of like stabilize token emissions, and then also as a way to subsidize the incentives for the Clev CVX LP without using Clev token emissions, and basically utilize the revenue generated from Clever. So the CVX that it earned, every epoch, it was utilizing that, and so worked out great. It's perfect, but like the amount of Clev going out into the world just came to a striking trickle, which is great.
Well, and that was the point of CIP was to really cut down on Clev emissions, but the gray area that we had and the miscommunication that we ended up with there was in the booster reward side, right?
Yeah, and so I think we're obviously trying to be very careful about how we how we utilize the tokens, and sort of like strategically how it fits into the grand plan of sort of how the protocols operate, and sort making sure that everything's sustainable. And in doing so, I think that we basically overlooked and did not communicate very well that sort of like the decrease in booster emission. And so how directly correlated is that with the overall mission of sort of like stabilizing Clever token emissions? Well, if they're vested for 12 months, it's kind of a toss up. It quite frankly, it's not a decision that should be making unilaterally, and one that should have been presented to the community, because obviously you guys are the ones putting in the work to earn those, and are doing for those rewards. And so with making those alterations without any sort of discussion or feedback or anything like that, it's a little bit heavy-handed, a little unfair.
Well, and I think the main thing for me anyway, basically what happened was that the booster emissions were just kind of lumped in together with the other emissions that were all cut down in CIP 03. And I think that it just wasn't clear. We didn't make it clear in the text there, and we didn't follow up with more clarity to the community, because chances are, and again, I'm calling a DeFi Advisor here because he pinged us and got talking to us about these details, and made some extremely good points that that we don't want to, that especially when we're trying to grow the protocol, we want to make sure that we get that. We want to make sure we get the best out of our boosters, right? And so the idea really is to give Clever the best chance at success. Cutting down token emissions helps with keep the mechanism working. We know that the Clev token price factors into how well the Clever mechanism works. It's not totally divorced like it is for Concentrator. And so this is kind of all part of the process. So Charlene, can you give us a sense of where we ended up after the dust settled on this most recent round?
So for the booster rounds, we give out the same amount of tokens, right, as the original schedule. So it's 10K Cleave vesting over 12 months. But on liquidity mining side, we really just cut down Cleave emission to 12.5% of the original emission schedule. So there's a huge gap there, right? That's need to be mitigated. Yeah.
Yeah. So we should now. So the full emissions have gone out, and like I say, because this is kind of a bit of a tangent here, but again, because of the way our vesting contract works, the values, everybody was able to see like their token amounts prior to everything getting locked into the emission. So it's been able to be adjusted this time to basically undo the reduced amount for this round. But I think that it still makes sense for us to talk as a community, maybe in a proposal or a forum post, to talk about whether we want, in terms of controlling CLEV emissions, whether or not we want to proceed with that existing schedule or modified in some way, and we will be extra careful to make sure that that happens transparently. So big thanks to DeFi Advisor, and let's keep the discussion going, I think, about this.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's kind of complex.
Yeah, and obviously, there's obviously a lot of different factors to sort of like take into account, and so the team sort of has obviously their point of view, and then you guys obviously have your own points of view of how you see the program as well. And it's kind of like, it's very important that everybody is on the same page and is getting the maximum amount of utility, and sort of feels like that it's worth participating in. And so that's where everything sort of like has to come together and gel, and that's what's made it successful so far, right? It really has been a good thing to participate in, and we definitely don't want to change that now.
Yeah. So, and we should talk about that in a second here. So Ivan again has a couple of questions. He says, what's the new total CLEV to boosters per round? So as of right now, it's the same as it always was. For the last emission, it is still at the maximum level. There is no, we had changed it in the initial calculation to be in line with CIP03. But then we were able to get the feedback and make that adjustment in time. That did not happen. So the booster emissions were the usual full amount for this most recent distribution. If we're going to make a change to that amount going forward, you will hear about it more in a forum post. So there's as of right now, no change, and it'll be something that we kind of discuss as a community. And this has nothing to do with FXN emissions for the FXN booster program. This is really all tied back to CIP03, which was a sort of a
Morning. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Pretty good.
Oh, hey,
We're
Ghost.
gonna mute you, Ghost.
Anyway, it comes back to CIP03, which was a plan that we were putting in place in order to try to optimize Clever a little bit. Again, try to help get, so at the time and still now, we saw big value in cutting down those Clev emissions in order to kind of keep the sustainability of the mechanism up, right? And these is just kind of like knobs that we're twiddling all the time. But we do need to be more careful about being explicit about the booster emissions. That's kind of the main point here. The other thing too is just, we've heard some feedback in the community about the booster program in general, and a little bit sort of about how what people think about how it's working and how votes are got and everything else. So in general, by the way, our feedback for the booster program is generally very positive. And the things that we always like to highlight about the booster program continue to be enormously powerful. It is got like a super low barrier to entry. Anybody can come and participate and kind of like get their name on the list. There's not a lot of red tape involved, right? And so all of that stuff, and it's very welcoming. And in fact, like we've like KMETs came to us as well as I think Linero, back when Linero first started. It really does attract great people that we found, right? People who it kind of reward people for taking the time to dig into Aladdin and share it with others. Where I think that there's some feedback that we can kind of work on and think about is just when you have the tokens allocated by pure governance vote, it makes it really, like, we ask everybody, and the purpose of the program is to reward the boosters who do the best work, right? And so in theory, if you have alignment with the protocol and you want the protocol, if you are a token holder of the protocol, or if you hold governance power, you want to vote in the way that has the maximum benefit to the protocol because you're a token holder. Unfortunately, that not always the way that people vote. You know, it's easy to vote in your own interest or your friend's interest or anything else. You know, we can't really control any of that. That's the way voting works. It's this wild democratic process. But that has certain implications, which is that all we can do as a team is just provide guidance to say, like, hey, check out what people have done and try to reward them for the work that they've done. I think everybody can kind of like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and even sometimes it's difficult, even if you know everything that's going on, it's difficult to know who to vote for or who should be rewarded, because a lot of times some of that stuff is behind the scenes as well. You know, that's not it's really great work for the protocol, but it's not like flashy or, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, my guy Cyril is maybe a prime example of that, right? Like Cyril's doing, like Cyril's biggest, in my opinion, contributions to the protocol. You know, we talk about them in the calls all the time, right? All this work he does, you know, getting these integrations done and like hitting the pavement. You know, he's not the only one. We have a lot of folks who that's the way that they help out, but it's less visible. And so it's a little bit harder to sort of, it's a little bit harder to reward those people in a general sort of token holder vote. And you know, like I say, it's there are weaknesses to pure token voting, and we don't really want the booster program to become like completely captured by a few big voters who just use it, you know, to sort of for themselves. So, you know, it's not that we think that that's happening now, but it's certainly a possibility with this unconstrained voting approach. So ideas are always welcome. We're talking internally about some things that we could tweak for the next booster round, maybe with how Aladdin deploys its own voting power from its treasury, or maybe even propose some kind of an adjustment to how the vote is, how the votes are turned into the total rewards. So feedback, ideas on that are welcome and greatly needed. And we've got ideas on the team too, so we'll talk more about that in the future.
Yeah, it's I mean, that just goes to show you that everything in DeFi is always kind of a moving target, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
And so, always looking to make things better, and you know.
Well, and governance is hard. Like we've talked about this. Governance is hard. It's a drag, and it's hard, and it's hard for individual people to do a good job, and it's also hard to build a governance structure that is completely decentralized, but also still manages to retain fairness, right? And so, anyway, we'll propose some adjustments or.
Yeah, Cyril's like got some ideas here, and he's posting them in the chat. You know, please share, you know, in the Discord and with the team and you know, with everybody in the community, because I mean, you know, this is gonna survive and thrive by the best ideas coming through, and
yeah,
you know,
well,
the more we have, the better.
Well, and the other thing too is like we've got to, you know, as Cyril says, we can there are ways that we can limit the like limit the total number of people on the list unilaterally as a team. Like for starters, if it becomes the part of what the thinking was in the early days of the booster program was like, this shouldn't become like try to add as little workload to the team as possible to make this thing happen, right? So the idea being like, as soon as you start saying, okay, well, we're going to say only, you know, well, as you guys are suggesting, like only contributions made in the voting period or like recent contributors, that actually suddenly puts the onus on the organizer, aka KMETS, to have to track all of this stuff specifically and follow each individual contribution and evaluate, you know, if not how good it is, then at least sort of the time frame, right? Does it qualify? Does it not qualify? Should they be included? And you know, that first of all, it introduces centralization, which, you know, maybe in the end some amount of centralization is unavoidable, but it also introduces, you know, potential for you know, we don't want anybody to accuse K-Mets of playing favorites and stuff like that. There's a lot of stuff to consider. So if we can come up with a way to sort of like help guide the ship a little bit, either, you know, from the team side or maybe from like a community council side, I don't know. Just thinking out loud here.
Yeah, and you know, we're always trying to pay attention, and if you know, folks want to collect their thoughts and submit it to us, so that we can,
Yeah, I mean, what's the
better,
big
that'd be great.
the big goal of the booster program is this is marketing spend for Aladdin products, right? And so this is all about, can we get tokens into the hands of people who are excited about the protocol, for one, because those people are more likely to want to sit on them.
Yeah.
But also, can we reward people for doing the work that the protocol really needs, which is out there hitting the pavement, sharing, teaching, you know, boosting, pumping, shilling, all of that kind of stuff. CryptoVestor, drop off and boosting right after a round. Yeah, I mean, that could be too. I don't know. I don't monitor it closely enough to have noticed that, but I would definitely believe you if you say that's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of factors involved, right? And so it's kind of one of those deals, like, you know, is it ever going to be a perfect process? No, probably not. No, but we can certainly always try to improve it, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
There you go.
Weights for types of contributions, like a gov vote to set weights for the next round, engineering, marketing, integration, shilling, etc., depending on what the DAO. Yeah, and that's, you know, so these are nice. Can make it so you can't vote for yourself. I mean, CryptoVestor, unfortunately, that's like technically just not really doable. I mean, we probably would have done it that way from the very beginning if we could have. Yeah, I mean, the trouble with the honor system is like,
well,
anytime there is no honor in DeFi.
For that as well. Yeah, there's workarounds for that as well. So
exactly. And we've talked about like, can we do it as a like in the early days? I pushed the idea of like quadratic voting, which is kind of cool. But everything that works by the honor system is going to get exploited by the one person who chooses not to play by the rules, right? And so, you know, with everything being permissionless, like at this point in time, the main point of centralization is that you know, obviously all of the votes are collected and calculated, turned into a direct, X number of voting power divided between all the boosters, and then the tokens are distributed by us according to that, the output of that calculation, basically the output of just the total voting weight. So because we have that point in the process already, like we can at the community level propose changes in the way that is the way that's doled out. But ultimately, anything can be Sybil attacked, anything can be like honor system can be violated, and people are horrible. Not you guys, of course. You guys are great.
Well,
but like other people.
And then you don't even, you know, once you start introducing the concept of politics to it as well, you know.
Well, exactly.
You know, who knows who and who owes somebody a favor and blah 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 and
exactly. Well, and again, on one hand, like, let's not get too down on ourselves here, because on one hand, this is like pretty amazing in that it is highlighting how desirable and sought after FXN tokens are, right? So that's great news, and the fact that people are wanting to fight for them is also amazing news, right? That's a good thing, and we don't want to lose that completely, right? Like you want an element of that competition, a little bit of that, you know, a little bit of that element of like desire and for that, especially for our token, right? That's what you want, and that creates good things in the DeFi world, in the community, where, you know, where everybody sees that it's desirable. So it helps build a great narrative. So we don't want to kill it. But the flip side of that is like everybody's going to have their own idea of what's the like fair and right way to sort of apply these votes. So maybe there's a way that we can not mitigate. Maybe there's a way we can sort of like massage how the like maybe the algorithm, or again maybe the team deploys, or maybe we come up with a new plan for how we deploy the Aladdin voting power, which is generally not deployed at all in booster rounds. So we're thinking about things, and we're open to everybody's ideas, and appreciate you guys all talking about this and chipping in.
Yeah. So there will be more to come as we kind of develop ideas. And like I say, please let us know. The feedback from the community is basically like number one priority, and that it's of use and something that you guys want to participate in. So please
exactly. All right. And in the end, it's there's room for improvement, and I think we can take a system that, I mean, right now we're talking about the wars at this moment, but big picture, it's a big win, and it's one of the more unique aspects of Aladdin, this like super easy way to get in and to get your hands on real tokens and just like become part of the community without having to jump through a lot of hoops or anything else. So we want to keep the good, and there's a lot of good.
Yeah, absolutely. Okie doke. All right. Well, I mean, that's clever. Keep on keeping on.
Yeah, love it. And looking, I'm really excited about, because I'm a data nerd. I'm really excited to see what happens as the new yield restructure, the yield fee restructuring goes into place. That's exciting.
Yeah, you and me both, man. I'm curious to see how that affects everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, just a couple other little items left with Concentrator. So Staked Out altered the way that their yields are collected for SDCRV, so that impacted SDCRV just for a little bit,
The
like
auto,
a day.
I think the auto harvesting, I think.
Yeah, but that's been addressed, and yields are streaming again. So, woohoo! There you go. And so that's basically the big news for Concentrator this week. Is
small bug fixed.
Keeping it cooking. That's right.
Back up and running. Oh, I love Concentrator.
That's that is such a it's just, it does what it does. It is a perpetual recycling machine, and it is just so cool to watch it just do what it does.
Yeah. I mean, I leave my deposits in there, and then I forget about them. And then every now and again, I'll go back and be like, that just shows up in my portfolio, but it's not, the details aren't there. And then I go back and I go, oh, what? I don't remember having this much. I don't remember having this much ACV or A curve. That's good. No, I didn't. I earned it all.
Yeah, Ghost 08, you're absolutely right. Concentrator is the unsung hero of DeFi, and there are a lot of like what I would call like quiet supporters of Concentrator, just from like conversations that I've had with folks in DeFi that utilize it and love it.
Well, this is the thing. It's not a degen play, right? And so it's like, man, you can build on it comfortably. Like, you can build a great portfolio, you can build a great protocol later if you want, but like it's not going to be the like, it's not the blast points or the
it's not Peapods.
It's not Peapods. It's not exciting and degen-y, so it fits into a smaller niche in the crypto world, but arguably, I mean, I think one of the most important, and I love it.
It's like if Friendtech sort of took some NyQuil. Except Concentrator's still going.
Yeah, and also, man, I feel like you could have let that metaphor cook a little bit, because
I probably could have. Oh well.
Maybe we'll work on that for next week, folks. We're gonna see if we can straighten that metaphor out to one that makes a bit more sense. But it makes sense in Texas, friends. So
I'm doing my boy. I tell you what, it makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's put a bow on this thing with our last our last item is Aladdin, and we'll just give a brief update on the tokenomics cap steps, which has been very clearly communicated for the last couple of weeks with no mistakes, particularly not by me. And so I'll just reiterate the correct things that I've said in the past, which is that essentially, to boil it down, we have a 3-step process. We passed the proposal last year to cap ALD tokens at 150 million. We are not at 150 million yet. And so in the beginning, my mistaken impression was that I had a mistaken impression about how we were going to execute the cap. And now I can clarify for you guys, it is a 3-step process. Number 1, we are going to stop bonding, turn bonding off. Excuse me. So bonding was one of the mechanisms by which ALD tokens can be created. However, the bonding mechanism wasn't used for a long time, and it shouldn't have been. But in any case, it is off. So that is the bonding mechanism is disabled. That is done. Put a check mark beside that one on your page, KMETs.
Yep. 2 steps to go.
Number 2 is we are going to stop ALD minting. We are going to turn off the ALD minter when we hit the 150 million token cap. So at the moment, ALD is minted daily via the classic rebase system, and the XALD grows with each rebase. It's the XALD being the staked ALD. So that system is going to continue. It's emitting very, very slowly, but we're actually getting quite close to the cap now. And so I think some number of weeks, I don't actually have it close by, but we're just going to mint out until we get to 150 million. And then we are going to disable the minter. And then what we're going to do after that is we are going to murder the admin key for that contract. We are going to, well, I told you this.
We're going to strangle it to death. Is that what we're going to do?
Yes. What I want to do is I want this meme going everywhere when the time comes to do the deed.
Robo.
Oh, jeez.
Old Yeller.
We're gonna throw it into Mount Doom, and that'll be how we make sure that it is irreversible, and no amount of tomfoolery or governance, for that matter, can bring it back. So there you go, 3-step process. Step 1 complete. We are going to mint out to 150 million, and then we are going to dramatically throw the admins into the fire.
Yeah, I think we're probably about like 2 months away, something like that, from the 150 million cap. So clear your calendars in April. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
For the big celebration.
And maybe stock up on XALD. I mean, you might want to. Oh, but it's not. This is gambling advice, by the way, not financial advice.
Yes.
But yeah, you stock up on that. You get you get your share of the tail end of the emissions.
There you go. Yeah. Wow. And look at that, Kruger, 9:01 a.m. Central Standard Time.
Wow, we just get better and better.
I'm
like 2 fine wines.
It is. By some stroke of luck. Once again, we did it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you can tell that it wasn't one of our heaviest agenda weeks, since those usually run like an hour overtime.
Well, we had a lot to get through, a lot of good stuff to talk about with the booster votes and everything, and
yeah, and a good time was had by some, so. Maybe even most.
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
We will continue small engine repair talk. Elsewhere.
That's right. Well, we'll transition to the other channel for small engine repair talk, and thank everybody for coming out. As always, join us in the Discord. Ask your questions. I won't say DMs are open because they're not. Generally speaking, if you want to message somebody on the team, you should talk to them, tag them in the Discord, and ask them. Let them know you're going to send a friend request, and we can get you hooked up that way. And you can share your thoughts privately, should you so desire. But please do hang out with us in the Discord and spread the word, and we'll talk again soon.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. Have a good Wednesday or Thursday or whatever.
Or a Wednesday,
yes.
Depending on where you live.
Or a Wednesday, yes.
Wow, you can say it. It's
Well, it's
amazing.
my Downton Abbey impression. So there you go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, understood.
All right, bye guys.
Ciao.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.